Precious Talent School closed as 7 minors succumbed to injuries in early morning tragedy. Healthcare survey casts a gloomy picture on service delivery by both national and county governments. The burial of murdered Dutch tycoon Tob Cohen postponed to Tuesday. And in sports, the national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers lose to Japan at the FIVB Volleyball World Cup. A very good evening and welcome to Breaking Today. I'm Lenny Rashid. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Tracy Dorcas. Tragedy struck early Monday morning at Precious Talent School when classes with pupils collapsed, killing 7 and injuring many others. This saw rescue and response teams from the government and non-governmental organizations respond to salvage the situation. The school has since been closed and investigations are underway to get hold of culpable individuals.
On 23rd of September 2019, early Monday morning, a few minutes before 7 a.m., tragedy befell the pupils of Precious Talent School in Dagoretti North. A temporary structure with one floor on top that housed standard 5, 6, 7 and 8 pupils came down crumbling in a flash, covering tens of pupils on the ground floor classes, with the rest of the rumble pouring outside with enormous force. The community around and other respondents, after hearing the bang, responded quickly to rescue the poor souls. But the event seemed to unfold too quickly. 7 pupils had already succumbed almost immediately and many others injured.
Of Kenya, and on my own behalf, I wish to convey our deepest condolences to the families, friends and relatives of the Precious Talent Primary School for the tragedy that befell the community this morning.
The pupils had arrived at the school and learning was taking place as usual. But neither one of them nor their teachers knew a misfortune would come about. As they came by to check on their children, parents and relatives were met with the hard reality. Their kids were either well, injured, or in the worst of cases, dead. This is the rubble, what remains of once classrooms of pupils. An engineer earlier told me that the material used to construct the classrooms, including the wire mesh, could only qualify to build structures for chicken. The structure could not stand for long. Calls were then made to parents whose children had passed on in the misfortune by authorities informing them to rush at the nearby St. Mary's Catholic Center to confirm the identities of the dead little angels. It is here that things fell apart as parents broke into tears as they came to terms with the loss of their dear ones.
The person who called me actually used her phone, but she did not disclose her name. But she just, said, "You just come quickly, come quickly." And I said, "No, I'm the dad. Tell me what has happened." And then the sad news was broken that our precious daughter is no more.
The 7 bodies preserved here were later loaded into police vehicles one by one and ferried to city mortuary.
It was very, very jovial, very performing. And actually, she was aspiring to be a medical doctor. And in that particular school, actually, she was the top. She was index number 1. And even yesterday, we had a very wonderful moment with them in school and also out of school at home. We had a very hearty supper in the evening, and in the morning, I fixed breakfast for them before I left. And so I just said goodbye, have a good day in school. And hardly did I know that this sad news will hit us.
The 64 injured were treated at the Kenyatta National Hospital and those treated to satisfaction released. The pictures here are of desperate faces, cries of painful parents mourning their dead children. It's one of those days they will never forget, the day that their children perished in school early morning while learning. Give us Mana, Switch TV.
In addition to rescue and recovery operations, the Kenya Red Cross Society is providing psychosocial support to students, teachers, parents and guardians, all of whom were affected by the tragedy at Precious Talent School. Daniel Mutinda has more on the psychosocial support program that aims to ensure a defined recovery process.
We offer in psychosocial support, basically to try and offer service to those that are seeking for counseling services. With us here, and we also have in this center here, and there another one in Chiromo, and the other one in Kenyatta National.
Let's now take a look at a pictorial representation of the tragedy that befell Precious Talent School this morning. It is now emerging that faulty construction was the main reason behind the collapsing of the Precious Talent Top School in Dagoretti South constituency. Engineers who visited the collapsed building termed it as a structurally deteriorated site posing great danger to any person who accessed it. Speaking at the scene, however, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha stressed that quality assurance would be done on the remaining classes before the affected students return to school, probably next week.
According to some of the residents we spoke to who also happened to be parents in the school, they had a loud bang at around 7 a.m. followed by screams from the school compound, which only a day earlier had held a prayer service for the Class 8 candidates. Most of them are of the opinion that the structure was substandard and was too weak to be used as a school. They described it as a structure that had been a threat to the teachers and students for some time now.
Ilikuwa ya mabati, ilikuwa ya mchengo ya mabati, ilikuwa imechengwa na mabati, so structure yake ilikuwa imewekwa miti na mabati juu na chini, ndiyo ikaenea usito, ikaenea juu ikasinki. So kusinki, wale watoto walikuwa class ya chini, darasa chini, hawa ndio waliumia.
The sentiments on the quality of the structure were echoed by engineers who visited and assessed the collapsed building, terming it as a structurally deteriorated, damaged and posing great danger to anyone who accessed it. The engineers say they are still going on ground to try and establish what exactly happened and what building materials were used.
What we have seen here is incomprehensible. We cannot understand what the developer had done here. The fact that the building was almost finished and the children were occupying it is not easy to understand. When you want to do a building in Kenya, you are supposed to seek the services of an architect and an engineer.
The government was quick to act and was represented by government spokesman Sarah Suguna, as well as Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha, who ordered the school to close until Monday next week as a permanent solution is sorted to facilitate the Class 8 students preparing for their KCP examinations in November. This also includes measures that will be put in place to have better learning facilities in the area.
We have set a multi-agency group comprising officials from the county government, local leaders, Ministries of Education, Interior and Coordination, and the national government and the Ministry of Health, together with the Kenya Red Cross, to manage this situation. The team will also conduct thorough investigations on the possible causes of this tragedy and submit the report for me for urgent action. In the meantime, we have asked learners to stay at their homes over the next 4 days as we put in place adequate measures to ensure their safety of learning. I want to add by saying very firmly and categorically that the children of Kenya are safe in schools.
After the tragedy that struck this school, Precious Talent Top School here in Gando area, where 7 students have lost their lives and 57 more injured, there seems to be more questions than answers. How many more schools in the country are in this state? And what action will the Ministry of Education take before more lives are lost? Sally Limo, Switch TV.
The government has ordered the full audit of school infrastructure in the country. The review Deputy President Dr. William Ruto has announced would ensure that the academic institutions are habitable to learners. Of the 64 injured pupils, the DP said 60 of them had been cleared and discharged from hospital. Speaking at the Kenyatta National Hospital after visiting the victims of the Precious Talent primary classroom collapse on Monday, DP Ruto said the move would ensure that the infrastructure is conducive for learning. He said the lack of a public primary school in the area had been brought to the attention of the government and work was in progress to set up one. For the 10 million has been made available by the Dagoretti South Constituency Development Fund. Dr. Ruto said the school would be established at the Lenana School land. It is expected that the institution, which is set to be ready by January next year, would be run by the Lenana School.
The school in Gando area is something that had been brought to our attention in terms of the presence of a public school. We've never had a public school in that area. The school we have there is a private school, and it is unfortunate that this has happened. We've lost children. Some children have been hurt, and we have instructed that the school be closed down until we satisfy ourselves that it is in a condition that it can be used again as a school. But meanwhile, we wish all the children that have been treated here quick recovery. We want to advise the parents that between Kenyatta Hospital Emergency Fund and our EDU NHIF health insurance, all the bills will be sorted out.
Transport along the Moi South Lake Road in Naivasha was paralyzed for hours due to protests after motorists and area residents blocked it. The residents were protesting its current poor state during the Monday morning incident where hundreds of workers heading to flower farms, hotels and Kenjan were caught up in the demo. For the last 2 years, the road that is critical to the economy of the country has continued to deteriorate, forcing investors to incur extra charges. According to one of the demonstrators, Sami Ndogi, the road had become an eyesore despite leading to several critical institutions like Kenjan and flower farms. They said that they decided to take the action after the government failed to rehabilitate the 30-kilometer road that stretches from Moi South Lake Junction to Kongoni.
Tuko na huzuni kubwa sana. Hii barabara Uhuru alifanya nayo 2013, akatuambilia hii barabara. Akakuja tena hapa 2016, akatuambia hii barabara itawekwa rami itoke hapa iende Mahera, iende mpaka Narok. Mpaka siku hii ya leo tutaona hii barabara. Tumeongea na mheshimiwa Jeni Kihara. Tumemwambia mambo ya barabara. Ametuambia pesa zimetolewa na minister wa financial.
Wanakuwa wengi sana watalii. Tukijaribu kuangalia idadi hatuwezi hesabu. Kuna tourist huku, kuna safari rally inakuanga huku. Kuna makampuni, watu wa samaki pia tunafanya kazi huku. So hii barabara magari zimeongezeka. Vitu zimeongezeka sana Naivasha. So sisi tungeomba tu, makampuni tuko mingi sana. So tunaomba tu tusaidiwe.
The burial of murdered Dutch tycoon Tob Cohen has been postponed to Tuesday. The ceremony was initially planned for Monday afternoon at the Jewish cemetery on Professor Wangari Maathai Road in Nairobi. The burial planners said they only managed to get 8 Jewish priests instead of the required 10. Hence, they decided to postpone the burial to Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Cohen's widow, Sarah Wairimu, had arrived for the private ceremony, which was to be attended by a few family members after being granted her wishes by the court. Conspicuously absent during the planned burial was Cohen's sister, Gabrielle, who left the country on Saturday with her lawyers, however, noting that her departure was normal and planned. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back with lots more. Keep it switched. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Breaking Today. Skipping school to glide through a dirty Bangkok canal on a paddleboard, Lily fishes out rubbish in her mission to clean up Thailand, where the average person uses 8 plastic bags every single day. The US Thai youngster started campaigning at the age of 8 after a seaside vacation in southern Thailand, where she was horrified by a beach covered in rubbish.
This area of Bangkok is known as the city's green lung, but it's suffocating under plastic, like much of the country. Lily is just 12, yet she's leading the fight to clean up the city, inspired by young Swedish climate change superstar Greta Thunberg.
Greta is really important to me because what she symbolizes. She says that kids can make a difference. She wants everybody to do something, and she got so many people together.
Thailand's the world's 6th biggest polluter of the oceans. Every Thai person uses on average 8 plastic bags a day. Lily is taking her message to the top. She has led several sit-ins outside the government house, met with business leaders, and she spoke at this UN conference.
I'm trying to enforce a lesson onto the Ministry of Education, a lesson about the environment.
She and fellow activists also clean up the city's canals.
It is hard, but I like to be positive about it because there's always hope. We can always fix something. If there's a problem, we fix it.
Lily's goal is to ban single-use plastic bags by 2022. Her first victory, managing to convince a supermarket chain in Bangkok not to offer plastic bags 1 day a week.
In the Ivory Coast, the development of telemedicine is gradually changing and streamlining healthcare by making remote diagnosis and treatment possible. Already in place at the University Hospital of Bouquet, telemedicine is expanding throughout the north of Cote d'Ivoire.
Kila wakati mtoto wa Catherine Kulibali mwenye umri wa miaka 19 alipopaswa kufanya miadi ya
We do apologize for that. Dambe, a striking martial art in Nigeria, which has now grown from the country's traditional boxing culture into an entertaining spectacle, has seen players make up to $900 during major tournaments. Even as Nigeria hopes to export the traditional boxing culture, the founders of Dambe Warriors in the country are planning to create an arena that will draw in tourists.
Wrapping his fist with a kaira, special strips of fabric used to protect the fist, Aljanini Yahaya is getting ready for a Dambe fight at a neighborhood square in Lagos, Nigeria. In the past, fighters used to dip the kaira in resin and crushed glass to better injuries on their opponent. Tactics like that, however, are now illegal. Dambe is a striking martial art said to have been around for over 200 years that has grown from its brutal origins to a more entertaining spectacle today. Fighters often use one hand to fight while using the other as a shield. Sometimes legs are also used against the opponent, the strategy being going straight for the kill in the shortest time possible by knocking out your opponent or forcing them to surrender.
I am very happy with my life because I get food to eat when I engage in this sport. I get money for relaxation when I don't take part in any other sports apart from traditional Dambe boxing.
The sport has 3 houses or fighting groups, Jamus, Arewa, and Guruwada. Many of the fighters have been doing this from an early age, others even depending on it as a source of living. Even as the players make between $400 to $900 during major tournaments that are recorded and posted online to subscribers. In the past, fighters competed for wives, parcels, land and other prized items.
Even before I became a Dambe fighter, I have always loved to fight. I used to fight with everyone, and they always complained to my parents. Then one day I saw a group of people fighting Dambe, and I knew I could do it.
In 2017, Anthony Okeleke and Chidi Anyina started Dambe Warriors, a production company that plans to market the sport further by giving viewers packaged video recordings of matches. The founders, who initially paid fighters from their own pockets, have now expanded to organize tournaments and collect gate fees from spectators.
The overall goal for us as a company is basically to elevate the sport from these rustic grounds into an internationally recognized sport, you understand? Put it out there on the likes of the UFC and the MMA, you know, for Europe and USA, similar to what they have in Asia, the One Championship. So for us, it's about building this Dambe Warriors franchise as a sporting asset in Africa. It's like the biggest combat sports in Africa.
In 2 years, the company has signed up about 100,000 subscribers and has garnered over 24 million views, including viewers from Indonesia, Brazil, Thailand, Philippines, and the United States. After filling a match, the team heads back to the studio to edit and voice recordings before posting them on the internet.
So after the tedious task of getting the right color grading, the right audio, the right visuals and length or duration of the video, next up, Dambe Warriors bout for the day is ready for upload.
The company's founders are working on plans to start a private arena that will draw tourists to watch games. They are also in talks to partner with major satellite stations as they look to expand their viewership.
The Kenya women national team Harambee Starlets kicked off training at the Utali grounds on Monday ahead of their upcoming Olympics qualifier against Ghana. 17 players took part in the morning session, with the team expected to be full house in the course of the day. Assistant coach Jacqueline Juma has exuded optimism in the team, noting that they have all it takes to get a positive result. Midfielder Vivian Corazon Aquino, meanwhile, issued a rallying call to fans to come and support as they play, as it is a source of motivation. The first leg is set to be played on the 4th of October in Ghana, while the second leg will be played on the 8th of October at the MISC Kasarani.
Started our preparation against Ghana Olympic qualifiers. Ghana is a good team. We've played them before in the Akon tournament in 2016. We played them in a friendly match at Kasarani, whereby we drew 1-1. It's a good team. Let me say it's a good team. It has competed in several tournaments, even to World Cup. So I'm expecting a tough side from them.
Sisi kama team tumeamua kushikana na Ghana tutawafunga. Mafans watokelezee venye wanitokelezea game za Harambee Stars hadi sisi wakuje kutusupport.
The national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers lost their 6th consecutive match at the FIVB Volleyball World Cup on Monday. Kenya lost to host Japan in 3 straight sets of 18-25, 22-25 and 20-25. Middle blocker Edith Weiser was Kenya's best scorer with 11 points. Their next assignment will be against China on Tuesday.
Typical rescue from the Liberoco Bata. Kumba does finish that one.
Kenya Rugby Union Chairman Odwor Gangler has said that the union is still working on bringing back the National Rugby Sevens team senior players who missed the HSBC World Rugby Sevens series last season. Protesting over reduced salaries, some of the senior players who did not feature last season include Collins Injera, Oscar Ouma, William Ombaka, Dennis Ombachi, Oscar Ayodi, Billy Odhiambo, Samuel Oliech, Dan Sekuta and Eden Agero.
Tunaangalia sana maslahi ya wachezaji na si tu wale wenye ule uzoefu, lakini wachezaji wote wa Kenya Raga. Kusema kweli, kupata wafadhili ni shida sana. Unajua uchumi pia si kama zamani. Makampuni wengi sana wana mashida ya kifedha. So ile uchumi pia inatatiza sana kupata fedha. Lakini tukipata lile fedha la serikali itasaidia mahali pakubwa. Tumeongelesha wachezaji, pia tumewaeleza hivi ndivyo tulivyo. Unajua tutaki kuambia mtu tutalipwa hela hivi na hatuna. Lakini natarajia kwamba watarudi, kwamba na pia wanakubali. Hata ukikumbuka wakati ule tulishinda ule mchuano kule Singapore, si kwamba walikuwa wanalipwa hela kubwa. So hela si kila kitu, na hata wachezaji ni ile uhusiano kati ya board na wachezaji ndio lazima ikuwe sawa.
We're wrapping up tonight's bulletin on breaking today from our news director George Oraro, our news editor Nicholas Mongi, and our sign language interpreter Tracy Dorcas, and myself and the entire team here. Thank you for keeping us company. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Keep it switched.